The Nigerian government's planned fuel subsidy removal and supplanting it with a monthly 5,000 naira transport stipend to poor and vulnerable citizens is already encountering resistance before its launch. A few days ago, Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, had said that the stipend would be made available to 30 to 40 million Nigerians who make up the poorest in the country. She said the savings that will be made from the removal of fuel subsidy will determine the number of beneficiaries. However, Nigeria's two major labor organizations, or labor unions, the Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress, have rejected the proposal, saying they were not consulted before it was made public. The NLC said the constant devaluation of the naira would not guarantee a realistic pump price of petrol, adding that the planned subsidy removal was an invitation for civil unrest. Also raising concern over the viability of the proposal, the Senate said there was no provision for the proposed 5,000 naira transport grant in the 2022 budget. Chairman of the committee and Senator representing Lagos West, Solomon ADEOLA, after presenting his subcommittee's proposal to the Senate Committee on Appropriation, says the 2022 budget presented to the National Assembly by President Muhammadu Buhari still contains provisions for subsidy payments.
How do we identify these 40 million Nigerians that are going to benefit from this process? There are still a lot of issues to be deliberated upon and looked into if eventually this will come to pass. And how do we raise this money to pay these 40 million Nigerians? Because I know that even at the subsidy or revenue being raised, are money that are coming in from this so-called oil and other sources of revenue to the federal government. So how do we? This is not provided for already in the budget as we have. We don't have anywhere in the budget where 40 million Nigeria at 5,000 naira equals this amount of about 2.4 trillion contained in that budget. And I know there must be a budgetary provision for this for us to consider. That's why I said it's still a news out there until it's now formally comes to the National Assembly for either environment to the budget or reordering of the budget and so other things. So for now, I still want to take it as a rumor and as a news until it's formally laid and presented before the National Assembly.
Joining us now from Dubai to discuss the planned subsidy removal and the forthcoming National Convention of the All Progressives Congress, the ruling party, is Honorable Musa Sarkin Adar, the lawmaker representing the Goronyo Gada Federal Constituency of Sokoto State in the National Assembly. Honorable Sarkin is also the Chairman House Committee on Petroleum Upstream. Thank you for joining us, Honorable Adar, and good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Well, Honorable, how is it going in Dubai?
I'm fine, Dr. Rube. We are waiting for you.
Well, it's good to have you again on the program. The last time you were here, we were discussing attacks on communities in your constituency, Goronyo Gada Federal Constituency. I hope all of that matter has been resolved and there is peace now in Goronyo Gada. But to go straight to the business of the day, the proposed removal of fuel subsidy. The federal government of Nigeria says, in line with the Petroleum Industry Act, it will remove petroleum subsidy in the second quarter. The law says, well, first quarter. IMF is saying, well, IMF World Bank says, look, do it in the first quarter. But what are your immediate concerns about this proposed removal of fuel subsidy, which we understand is not even in the 2020 budget, but which many analysts say, well, is inevitable?
Thank you very much for inviting me to share my views and opinion on this important matter. But let me say this briefly, just for record purpose. The security situation in my constituency is still bad. Even last week, some communities were attacked, people killed, and some kidnapped. However, we are still appealing and we are still calling on the government to do the needful to make sure that it protects the life and properties of our people, not only in Goronyo and Gada Federal Constituency, all over Nigeria, wherever this instance is taking place. So let's move on to the issue of the subsidy. This removal of subsidy has been on over a century, or over a decade. It started from Obasanjo regime to Umar Yar'Adua to Jonathan and now to President Muhammadu Buhari. We have listened to various arguments put across by the protagonists of government sustainability, and those that are saying the poor and deserve to be protected, the vulnerable in that matter. The proposal being peddled as rumor now, because like I've said, it's a rumor. I've not heard it has been submitted to us formally in National Assembly. It is just maybe a kite that they have thrown to gauge the reactions of the National Assembly and, of course, the general public. Be it whatever it may be, whatever it is that is brought before us, the concern is, yes, we must agree there's need for fuel not to be subsidized anymore, going by the international energy demand and how it is operating all over other countries. But the problem in Nigeria is this. You remove kerosene subsidy. You removed diesel subsidy. Now you are talking of petroleum subsidy. Anybody who is a keen watcher of the economic, especially transport economy in this country, will know the much needed by the common man is the diesel, which is being used to carry goods by trucks, tankers, and all major buses of transport. The petroleum equally contributes because it is used by small commuters, small taxis, but notwithstanding, it is not as significant as that of those bigger buses and trucks that carry goods across the country. However, if fuel subsidy is to be removed in this country at this moment or in the early quarter of 2022, and a palliative is to be introduced, I do not subscribe, I do not share the idea of giving 5,000 naira to those that are called about 40 million vulnerable Nigerians for obvious reasons. One, the fear of accountability, the fear of transparency. As of now, the government of President Muhammad Buhari is a government that have provided more funds in form of support to the vulnerables in order to move them away from the poverty, below poverty level. In various programs of Empower, programs of trader money, programs of school feeding, so many programs. But the question is, what is the result achieved? All the nearly trillions of naira that have been disbursed. And most recently, the one introduced by the Minister of Labor, that what you call the critical work in the local governments, why every local government is supposed to have 1,000 youth employed to be given 30,000 naira a month. Until now, that is a mirage. The money has been approved, the money has been released to them, but the implementation is very poor. So with this, there's need for serious caution. In the first place, because before the quarter of 2022, do we have the data of those targeted people, the vulnerables? If they say they have the data, what is the criteria used in the selection of those people? Who are categorized as the vulnerables? And what apparatus will be put in place to make sure this money gets to those that it is targeted for? Yes, we must sympathize with those that it is targeted for. But the fear I am having, and many of us are having, is some other people should not take advantage of the vulnerables. Well, you say you are giving 5,000 to 40 million, you find more than half of that does not go to them. It remains in the pocket of the rich. And this should not be condoned, and we should not allow it. Let it come clearly. What are they? Is it the Ministry of Finance that is going to disburse these funds, or which ministry? Of course, it should not be Ministry of Material Affairs. Right. It should not. And it should not be Ministry of Labor. We should know which agency that can be trusted, that is reliable, transparent, and competent enough, and with the fear of God, to go and discharge this responsibility effectively. We are not saying no, but tell us how you will do it to make sure that it doesn't get to the other hands. Well, maybe that's part of why the labor unions
are saying they were not carried along. There's not enough detail. Probably that's why there wasn't anything to communicate to labor unions. Who knows? The labor unions do have that one objection, that they were not carried along, and also object to deregulation that still involves importation. It doesn't make any sense when we have our moribund refineries. I'd like you to comment on that.
The issue of the moribund refinery, I'm sorry, is within the downstream sector, but as a Nigerian and as somebody who knows something about it, let me say this. The refinery's rehabilitation is in progress, and it is expected to be completed in the 2022 or early 2023. Even there, we have questions. Until now, there have never been a time when any of the 4 refineries we have in this country achieved even 80% maximum capacity of its potential production. I'm not sure this time around it will reach that level to achieve up to 80%. I hope it could achieve up to 100%. When that is done, it will help to curb importation of refined product from other countries. We are losing much money in that importation. There's no doubt about that. And the reason why Nigeria is becoming poorer and poorer on a daily basis is because our importation supersedes our exportation. Whatever crude we export, in return, what we get is not commensurate to what we have exported. And that shouldn't be, that's not good for our economy. We should be producing both the crude oil and refine it here, even to sell the refined product to other countries that need it. All our neighbors need our crude oil. Many arguments are saying that most of our crude oil, why it is not sufficient in Nigeria, is because it is being smuggled across the borders. And nobody can dispute that fact. Even now, despite Niger finding oil in its own country, still they rely more on Nigerian refined product than the ones they produce and refine in their own country. The smuggled one is cheaper there. And I want to believe it is the same thing in Chad, in Cameroon, and in Benin Republic. And even other faraway countries that do not have common border with us. But there's cross-border movement across up to Mauritania and across up to Central African Republic. So now, what we should do before the refineries start functioning is a measure that will reduce the suffering we are facing now. The foreign exchange is being dilapidated. We are always borrowing. And all these monies that we are borrowing and the monies that we are generating from the foreign exchange through petroleum exports are not meeting up the demands of the development of this country. So what is the solution now? The solution is we have to rethink within and outside the box. In doing that, then politics come in. Those people that are opposed to the government will always try to show the wrong side of that. Those people that are with the government will also try to show the good side of that. But in a situation like this, there shouldn't be any partisanship. We must face reality. Can Nigeria continue to subsidize the petroleum products? The answer should be no.
Okay.
Then if the answer is no, what is the way forward? The way forward is the fuel subsidy should be removed, but it should be removed with small face, sincerely and genuinely. The money that will be saved from the subsidy should be used to develop critical infrastructure, to develop agriculture, to empower the youth to get employment. Giving somebody 5,000 naira a month, you are trying only to make him lazy. Engage him where he can generate more than 5,000 naira in a week so that he can pay whatever hike that's in transport. I don't know how some of our people think. Dashing out money to people, you are encouraging laziness. We should encourage people to gain money by themselves so that they can live better lives.
Honorable Sarkin Adar, thank you so much for the point you've made. You know, but the shocking thing is, we keep saying, let's rethink, let's go back to the drawing board. I can tell you for free about the Nigerian drawing board. There is nothing there. It's just doodle that is being drawn there. Why? Because we keep making the mistakes we've made over the years, over and over again. What happened to the idea, first, mooted of CNG, gas-powered cars? What happened to the idea of multimodal transport system? What happened to the idea of ramping up infrastructural development in rail and other forms of transportation? I thought those ideas were put forward first. Today, do we have any CNG-powered cars in every part of the country?
Okay. Before I agree with you, let me just differ a bit. Going back to the drawing board is not the problem. I agree, we don't have any problem with that. The problem is implementation. Just like all this that you have mentioned now, the CMG, the multi-transport model, all these are in place. But implementation, all those who have beautiful ideas, who have beautiful planning design, who have beautiful everything, but when it comes to implementation, we are very poor. And that is because most of the public servants do not discharge their duties and responsibilities effectively, efficiently, and sincerely. You wonder, a plan will be developed within a period of 2, 3, 4, 5 years. The same people who develop and plan it, defended it before the Federal Executive Council or at any level that they are supposed to defend it, in National Assembly or anywhere, when you ask them to go and implement it, you give them the money. You find that the implementation is at snail speed. Sometimes you wonder, midway, the program will stop. Nobody will ask what happened and why. Like you have said, so many monies have been budgeted for critical infrastructure, especially in the transport sector. Look at Kaduna-Abuja Rail. It was commissioned in the first quarter of President Buhari's assumption to power, and it was supposed to extend to Kano. Look at the Lagos-Ibadan. It has been completed recently, and I think it has been commissioned as well. There's the leg of Ibadan to Abuja, and there's one that will also connect from Abuja to, from Lagos to Ibadan has been completed. The next segment is Abuja, Ibadan, Abuja. So by that, you linked to the Kaduna, and it's expected by then. But the problem here is, you wonder when the Minister of Transport came and jumped over to start the project from Kano, Katsina to Niger Republic. We live in the interland, going to the hinterland. Whatever you do there, it is when you link the Kaduna-Kano axis that will boost the economic development you want to encourage between Nigeria and its border to Niger. Let's finish the one with it, not to go outside. And look at the Itaklewari, it has been completed and commissioned. Then why don't you extend it to come and link also to Abuja or take it to Port Harcourt or to anywhere that is desirable at the same time? Our problem is implementation. And it is time that we have to refocus the thinking of our public servants to be service-oriented delivery, whereby you must be given, or you should be given a target. If you are given a target, then you should deliver within that frame time. Not always anybody should be allowed, okay, I make a proposal, I presented it, it is defended, it is accepted. Okay, when it comes to implementation, now I'm the boss. And I'll start giving excuses. We shouldn't. If we need to develop the country, we should compare ourselves with other countries that are smaller than us. For example, Dubai. It started in how many years? Now about 40 years. The same time we started Abuja. Until now, Abuja is how many areas? We have only 4 districts. Abuja is supposed to be about 10 districts by now. We couldn't finish a single city, while this country finished a whole country in the same period. And we earn more money than them. Why? Because they are desirous and they are genuine and determined to achieve what they desire to. And we need to borrow a leaf from them and from other countries. This country is ours. Those of us that are in the middle age, we are equally aging. In the last 30 years, we are in the youth. Up to the last 20 years, we are the youth. We are accusing all the leaders then. Now we are the leaders. Then what's the problem? What we have been accusing them is what we have been seeing in. We should try to be different, and we should try to change the narration and do something better. And this country needs to be fast-tracked to be developed in the next 10 years. Otherwise, you see migration, people will move. Just like you see the doctors now are moving out from Nigeria to other countries. You will even see the laborers will be moving out from Nigeria. Because nobody wants to go anywhere if he has a very conducive environment to stay with. There's nothing like home, and there's nowhere like home. So all that we are looking at other countries have achieved, we can equally do it. We are very brilliant people. And we have some people that are honest, but they are few. Or there are many, but they are not identified and they are not given chance. Those that have been given chance, unfortunately, have proved to do otherwise, have chosen not to be, to honor the role that have been given up. So I think with this, I will appeal passionately to all of us Nigerians. Let us come together. Let us look at our attitude and change it for good. We have teeming youth. We have over 100 million youth capable that can develop this country if they are given proper leadership. We need to mentor them. Let us tell them this is how to do it right. Not to tell them, no, wait for a time, you go and do it that way. No, we shouldn't. Those that have developed, most of the developed countries are not a particular set of people. They are general, the old and the youth together. Look at Malaysia, look at Singapore, look at Dubai, look at China. It is a combination of the youth and the elders that come together and develop their country. We need to do that. We have gotten a very resourceful country in land mass, in land fertility. We have gotten very capable and determined young people. The only thing is they are lacking is proper mentorship. Well, proper mentorship.
Honorable Adar, let's talk about the All Progressives Congress, your party. 4 days ago, we were told that the president has given his approval for the convention to be held in February 2022. The governors having approached him with that date. Now, but we know that, there are issues, unresolved issues from recent congresses within the party. In many of the states, up to about 12 states, the APC either has one issue or the other in terms of internal division. Even at the national level, there is no agreement yet in terms of what should be the mode of a party primary, while everyone is waiting for the president to endorse the bill on Electoral Act amendment that has been sent to him. What are your worst fears about, the forthcoming, if we may use that phrase, convention of the All Progressives Congress? Do you see a party moving beyond internal divisions, or a party that is already turned down the middle as a result of the politics of who will be the flag bearer of the party in 2023 and where that person will come from?
First of all, let me say this clearly. The February date for the National Convention of APC as approved by President Muhammadu Buhari is very much on track, and it will help to reconcile all the agreed members where there's crisis in the 12 states that you have mentioned. And I believe between now and then it will be over. And second, if PDP that does not have a leader could overcome its challenges of crisis. Remember, before the convention, the national chairman of the party went to the court, took the party to the court. The national chairman of the party, of the PDP.
I didn't ask you about the PDP. I asked you about the APC.
Let me finish.
My question was about APC, not PDP.
Mr. Ruben, I'm making a point. I'm just giving a point. I said, if the national chairman of a party of the PDP will take the party to the court, and at the same time, the PDP will be able to come and conduct its convention successfully, then I see no reason why the APC cannot come out of any crisis that the PDP protagonists are seeing are happening in the APC. Crises in a party are natural. Don't forget, it's a collection of people from various backgrounds, with different ethnicity, with different view and outlook that comes to join together, there must always be decent voices. But however, there are always mechanisms towards resolving such differences. And I'm sure before February, that would be over. APC will come out stronger at the end of that convention. And the seeming disagreement between the National Assembly and the governors on the direct and indirect model of the primary elections is also a foregone issue. The parliament has already passed the law. It is only one act that can reverse it. That is the refusal of the president to assent to the bill. When the president assents to the bill, nobody again has power to reverse it. And I'm confident President Muhammadu Buhari, the desire he has to involve people generally in the general process of party administration in this country, he would not hesitate to assent to that bill. That bill is one of the most important critical amendments in the Electoral Act. And don't forget, if the governors insist, with all the arguments that they are putting, that INEC cannot conduct or supervise party primaries, I wonder how they got to say that. It is even unfortunate. They should know that party primaries are conducted at ward headquarters, not at polling units. One of the governors was saying he has over 4,000 polling units. If you have any fear of participating in a primary election, even if it is to be conducted at polling units, then you should not go for general election. He who cannot participate in the widened and open process of his party primaries, how can you go and compete in a general election with other parties where you compete with about 40 parties? I think we should be honest. Nobody should have any fear. And if you claim you have been elected and you have performed very well your duty, why are you having fear of having general people to come and vote for you at the primary level? You are going to face the secondary level. Let it be like the same, so you are prepared. I don't think this is something that we should continue to overflow. The issue has come to the National Assembly. It went through the normal process of legislative proceedings, and it has been passed legally, and it has now been transmitted to Mr. President. Nigerians are awaiting Mr. President to assent to the bill.
Right.
And the governor should come and embrace and applaud us. We are part of them. We are together. And this time around, it's not only the APC lawmakers, it's general. We look at Nigeria. We didn't consider ourselves. We will not continue to be there forever. Even if you do anything that benefits you today, there will be an end to it.
Well, we only have about a minute left. Do you envisage, I know there have been no announcements made, but what are your thoughts on zoning of the NWC offices? And also, is there a possibility that a consensus candidates will emerge for the NWC?
Well, since there's no word from them, I can't envisage anything other than what is going to be right for the party. I'm sure they are going to sit in a meeting and they'll come up with the zoning arrangement of how the party will go. I don't think they will go to the PDP where they'll say, I don't think they will follow the PDP pattern. I'm sure they will go and sit down and look at the various geopolitical zones, the interests together, and see how it could be distributed proportionally, whereby everyone will carry along unfairly.
Well, on that note, we would like to thank you very much, Honorable Musa Sarkin Adar, for joining us on the morning show today. And
thank you very much, Dr. Ruben. Thank you, everybody there.
Thank you very much.